Alright guys, this is vlog number 2. We got some views on the last video and a couple of spam comments, but those got deleted. So if you watch this and you spam me and like tell me to look at your channel, it ain't gonna happen, buddy. Let's just put it that way. I actually already filmed a whole nother video that would go here, but I was clicking a pen the whole time and I was watching it and I was getting annoyed, so I was like, I'm not gonna put that there. So we're gonna try to record this. And I didn't even like the last video that much anyways. It was way too formal. It wasn't exactly what I was going for. So in this video, what we're gonna talk about is what it's like to live in the middle of nowhere and if somebody else should do it. Or if you should do it, the person watching this video. And I really like living in the middle of nowhere. It's a big change to what it was back home, but it's a good change to me anyways. Living out in the middle of nowhere, you have a ridiculous amount of freedom. You can have big old bonfires, you can go out and shoot your guns and nobody cares. And it's amazing. Like I remember back home, you'd hear a little pistol, like a pistol shoot, and everybody's calling the cops and it's all crazy. Everybody's wondering who died. Everybody's asking who died. Around here, it's asking, oh, I wonder if he got any coyotes. Oh man, I hope he did. Like, nobody's freaking out and calling the cops and going and locking their doors and staying inside. Nobody does that around here. I mean, I have a rifle. I have a 30-06, and if you've ever heard one of them go off, it's like it's a cannon, and inside of, if I shot that thing in Palm Springs, holy smokes, for miles there'd be people calling because it would just, it's so loud. I mean, the community out here is also like really cool. It's like if somebody's shooting, it's like, oh, that was this guy, and you can ask the story about it. That's how tightly knit the community is. I mean, and a big difference too when it comes to that tightly knit thing compared to back in Palm Springs is that you'd have community events like Palm Springs has a swap meet and stuff like that, and that's pretty cool. I actually missed that. But around here we actually have events where you actually, like, it's like friends getting together. Like usually there's a couple kegs of beer and it's free beer. Very recently here they had a Valentine's Day dinner where one of the families that live here actually drives all the way to Coos Bay, Oregon, which is a ridiculous amount of miles away. It's probably close to 600 miles away. And they drive it back the same day so that for Valentine's Day, everybody can have a fresh seafood dinner. And that is one of several events during the year that we have. Like, a lot of people would think, well, if you know your neighbors, they're going to be all up in your business. No, that's not how it works. They don't come over unless they're invited over. And basically, it's just like living in a city where you have your neighbors and you stick to your own business, but when you do get together, like you're good friends, and that's the thing too, is you actually know your neighbors and your neighbors are there for you if you need them. One of the big problems with living in the middle of nowhere though is that you're so far away from everything. And I guess that's kind of an implied thing, is that if you live in the middle of nowhere, you're gonna have to make a trek to get anywhere. Walmart is 45 minutes away for me, and if I am in a desperate emergency for something, we've got a corner store, we've got a Shell gas station, and most places where you go, you're going to be within driving distance of something, like a Walmart. Honestly, Walmarts are everywhere. You're going to be within driving distance of at least a semi-decently sized town. I mean, there are places where you could be, like, say you're in Alaska, but honestly, nobody, like, if you're moving to the middle of nowhere, there's going to be places where you're in the middle of nowhere, but there's always going to be somewhere for you to go. So you're truly not in the middle of absolute nowhere, with some exceptions, obviously. With being in the middle of nowhere comes a little bit of seclusion. Like, if you live in a nice neighborhood where people get along, then you're going to have a lot more contact with those individuals than you would around here. Around here, it's the wives get together a lot more than the men, So as a man living in the middle of nowhere, you get together with your friends probably. If you're a working man, like say you're a cattle rancher and you're working every day, it's really hard to get together with your friends. That seclusion too is really bad if you're single. Like in my immediate area, there's probably about 250 people, if that, and there are no singles my age, like none whatsoever. And I've never experienced that before. Every time I've been single, there's plenty of fish to choose from, and that's why I kind of hate that saying now, because when somebody says plenty of fish, it makes it sound like fishing's good, but around here, man, there are definitely better places to fish. And I mean, that can be good if there's, say, like, there's a few people your age. There may not be that many, but if there are a few people that are single that are your age, I mean, that's a pretty small pool right there. And if they meet your standards and you meet theirs, there ain't gonna be much competition for you. Yeah, you need to have a finish line for there to be a race. So around here, I don't have any competition, but I don't have anything to compete for, which kind of sucks. Living in the middle of nowhere is really great. I mean, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. I mean, I can't even describe to you what it's like at nighttime on a clear night during the summer. It's insane how bright and vivid the stars are, especially if you've never ever seen the stars and you've only ever been in a city. Looking up at the stars is absolutely ridiculous. The thing is too is it doesn't matter if there's a meteor shower or not. You're gonna see meteors, and they're gonna streak across the entire sky if they're big enough, and it's friggin' amazing. And if there's a real meteor shower going on, like when we moved here in August, and there's one of the biggest meteor showers of the year that hits during the summer, and it was ridiculous. It would shoot across the sky and then like explode and then go off in its different ways. It was pretty cool. It wasn't anything like that meteor that hit in Russia, but it's still pretty cool when you can look up at the sky and see meteors even when there's not a meteor shower going on. And I love doing this is going to sleep looking at the stars and then waking up in the middle of the night and seeing that the stars have moved. And I mean, it's pretty. I don't know if it sounds stupid, but I love doing that. It's one of my favorite things to do. When you live on a big property in the middle of nowhere, it's really great because you can do whatever you want. Nobody's going to tell you what to do. No sheriff is going to come driving down your mile-long driveway to tell you to turn down your music. So it's pretty cool. And then with that too, like building codes don't happen around here. You can put up windmills to power yourself. You can do whatever you want. Okay. Alright, that happened. It's being American when you live out in rural America. Or in the middle of nowhere, I guess. It's being American. It's being free. It's my favorite place to live, and I love it. And I lived in a city where I could walk down to the street and check my mail every day it came. Now out here, they don't deliver mail. FedEx and UPS will deliver packages, which is really cool because if you get a brand new Xbox One or something like that, it'll be delivered right to your door and you don't have to worry about it going to the post office and having to wait for somebody to put it in a big enough P.O. box. I mean, it does suck that I have to drive 2.5 miles just to check my mail, so it only gets checked once or twice a week, maybe even once every 2 weeks. When you go to community events and stuff like that, you learn who everybody is. Like even the cops too. So around here too, the cops they don't really mess with the locals that much. So go away. So cops around here don't mess with the locals. In the middle of nowhere, they usually live with you. So the thing is that as a cop, you want to do your duty, but you want to keep your friends too. You want to have a life outside of being a cop. You can get away with a lot more. I'll just leave it at that. Nothing crazy, but you can definitely get away with a lot more. If you're scared of living in the middle of nowhere, I think that you kind of have to reevaluate who you are as a person. because I live within 3 hours of Reno and 3 hours of Boise. I'm within 3 hours of doing anything that a big city person can do, except I get to live in the middle of nowhere and do whatever I want. And sure, I may not be able to go down to the grocery store immediately if I forget a thing of butter, but we got a corner store that can take care of that. And I mean, say I need something from Walmart, a 45-minute drive really is not that long. It's not that long. And the thing is that if you're worried about an extra 15-minute drive to work every day, because I used to drive 30 miles to work, and it actually took me closer to 45 minutes to even get there because I lived in a city. So the thing is that it's really not that big of a difference. If 15 minutes is a big deal to you, then you're obviously not doing what you should be. You're obviously not happy. It's just crazy. You could live in the middle of nowhere and do whatever you want for just 15 extra minutes of driving to and from work. Or I guess if you live down the street from Starbucks and you work at Starbucks, it's going to be and you can't walk there anymore, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. But if you're working at Starbucks, living in the middle of nowhere is probably not for you if you don't have a second income. Unless you're getting mad hours at Starbucks, then props to you. There's a lot of work in the middle of nowhere, and a lot of people don't understand that. The cattle industry is in the middle of nowhere, the farming industry is in the middle of nowhere, and those people need people to fill those positions. And they can't just post it up in the local station and be like, hey, come be a ranch hand, because everybody that lives here is already a ranch hand or a farmer. So when somebody needs a job, they have to look out to get one. And the thing is I got this job on Craigslist. I live 600 miles away and I still got this job without a face-to-face interview. So the thing is they need people, and work may be limited, but it's out there. And the thing is too is like we've got a couple nurses that drive all the way to town every day for work, and I that's not the thing for me. I didn't like driving. That's why I got a ranch hand job where I could live where I work. But they drive all the way to town, and the thing is being a nurse, it would pay for that. And living out in the middle of nowhere is a little bit less expensive than living in the city. You get a bigger house. You're more likely to have land where your house is. So it's just better all around. And if you own the property and you drill the well, because in the middle of nowhere you're not going to have sewer or piped plumbing, you're not going to have a water district, so you're going to have a well, and that is way cheaper too. You need to understand, around here our water table ain't that deep. It's probably 200 feet, something like that, maybe even less. And so it's not that expensive to drill wells out here. And I think all you have to pay is a water tax. And I mean, shoot, I imagine that'd be way cheaper than a utility bill if you own the well. There are a few cons, like you could pay for a disposal service out here, but it's probably super expensive. So we have like a community dump, and you just drive over there real quick, you throw your trash out there, and a lot of people burn their paper out here. So I don't know, it's really not that bad. It's definitely cheaper to live in the middle of nowhere, and you get a bigger house, and I think it's just worth the extra drive for sure. And you're not really in the middle of nowhere anymore. There's nowhere that's truly in the middle of nowhere, with some exceptions. One thing you would have to get used to, though, is if you're trying to make friends out here and you're a Democrat, you're probably going to have to learn to not be so forward with your views and be ready for the conservative Republicans to bash anything that's Democratic. You have to be ready for that. I'm not one for politics, so I don't deal with it, so I don't comment on it. I do not get into politics. The end. Alright. And that's what you should do too. Unless you're into that sort of thing. But if you're a Democrat, you have to be ready to get reprimanded if you say anything against conservatism. Conservatism. I'm not sure what that's called. Man, I feel stupid now. Scored a 92 on my ASVAB, but I don't know what a conservative is. But shoot, if I say it's worth it. I think if you're obviously if you're thinking about moving to the middle of nowhere, you should. And if you're not thinking about moving to the middle of nowhere, you better start thinking about it because it's friggin' amazing and you're missing out. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. I really like doing this. It's really fun. And I'm going to be putting out these videos twice a week. Not videos like this. I'm going to be getting, like I said, in the last video, I'm going to be getting a GoPro here pretty quick. I'm going to be trying to do actual vlogs where I actually can film in front of people where I don't feel awkward because I'm holding the camera in front of my face and my boss is right there. And I'm like, oh, check this out, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So it's going to be a lot easier to film in front of my boss. If I have a camera that's strapped to me somewhere, it's going to be a lot easier than anything else because it's just not as awkward with your boss there. And you don't have to really address it as much. Yeah, anyways, it's just too awkward right now and I don't have any subscribers. So when I say hey guys and there's actually somebody behind the camera, then yeah, maybe I'll be brave enough, but not now. Yeah, thanks for watching if you actually did.